I want to move on. I want to change topic. I want to go to immigration. Here was Chuck Schumer this week on the issue of immigration.
For the first time ever, there's more political risk in opposing immigration reform than in supporting it.
Anna Navarro, you are closely advising Marco Rubio, who is a part of this group with a bipartisan group of senators. Is Chuck Schumer right? Do you buy that there is more political risk opposing it than supporting it?
I think there's political risk on both sides, and I'm very proud of what Marco Rubio is doing on stepping outside of the political safe zone, of really going out on a limb and leading. I think he's making a big difference in how this issue is being received by the conservative base. He is a Hispanic Republican. They give him deference because of that. He also is very popular with the conservative base and put a lot of time and effort into selling these principles, explaining these principles before they were announced. A week or 2 weeks before they were announced, he was on the radio, he was on TV all the time explaining it to the conservative base and also in Spanish to the Hispanic community. It needs to be supported by both.
You know, Ralph, National Review respectfully came out against Marco Rubio's plan. This is what they said. He's wrong about how to go about repairing our immigration system. Wrong to think that an amnesty and enforcement bill at this time will end up being anything other than the unbuttered side of a half a loaf of bread. And there is no reason to make a bad deal for fear of losing a Latino vote Republicans never had. You were part of the Bush re-elect team. They did get a big chunk of the Latino vote. This editorial seemed a little bit off on recent history.
Well, the Republicans have now lost 4 out of the 6 presidential elections since the Berlin Wall fell. And the only 2 that they won, the candidate was somebody from a border state with Mexico who said that family values don't end at the Rio Grande and whose vision for the future of the country
You work with a lot of social conservatives. That message going to work?
Well, I think so, and I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, the devil will be in the details, if I can use that metaphor. Yeah. But people of faith are commanded by Scripture, both Old and New Testament, to welcome the foreigner and show compassion for the immigrant. But there's a corollary responsibility, and that is the immigrant, from ancient times with the Israelites all the way to today, is to obey the law and show respect for the customs of the nation in which they resided. So, for example, you've got 1 million people who are spouses or children of people who are here legally.
With green cards.
Seeking a green card. Right. 200,000 of those are minor children. We don't believe, Chuck, that somebody who violated our laws as their first step on the road to becoming an American should take precedent over those minor children in entering the country.
Is this going to work? Yeah.
I take this from the sacred to the profane.
Yes.
I've been so frustrated this week. We've got an aging society with stagnant education levels. Out there's this global pool of talent who will start, if they come here, they'll start more jobs than natives. They'll pay more taxes than they receive. They'll create a much more dynamic economy. And the last week in Washington, we've been sidetracked off this potential to actually give some growth to our economy by issues of how many links are in the chain we're going to build in Mexico.
How many drones?
What's going to trigger what? Does gay marriage affect all this? It's like the moral capital of obtuseness. I mean, this is really our only shot at getting a growing economy. I think the Senate has done an outstanding job of putting this attempt to win the race for moral global talent out there, and we're debating.